Today I have a JVC auto reverse cassette deck. This one's a model TDR272. Brought in for service. The client says it doesn't play. So we're going to pull this one apart, see what's going on, and see if we can get it going. Coming right up here on Tech Talk. I've got a JVC TDR272 auto reverse cassette deck. Yeah, I know, it's dusty, isn't it? This was brought to me to see if we can get it going. So let's get started. We'll see if it does anything. Okay, it rewinds, that's a good sign. Fast forward, that's also a good sign. The tape counter is moving. Does this thing play? Well, let's rewind this tape from the beginning. I was told it doesn't play, so we'll find out pretty quick here. This one uses a 3-motor system. So there's one motor that operates the supply and take-up reel. There'll be one that raises and lowers the head, and there'll be one for the capstan motor. And the tape is not moving. Okay, we'll pop the top off this one and see why it's not working. And there's going to be 2 releases of this video. There's going to be the condensed version for everybody to see, which will show the fault. And there will be a Patreon release of this video showing everything. So for you guys that want to see everything that was done on here, including removing the screws, stay tuned. Might be a couple screws in the back on this one too. We'll turn on some more lights. I get a feeling that the motor might be not working on this one. The capstan motor might be burned out on this one. Oh no, it's moving. The tape's not moving. The motor's turning. Oh, now it's started to work. What the heck? That wasn't moving before, that tape. Was that belt slipping on this? There's lots of torque on that belt. It's interesting. It's almost like that motor may have a flat spot. Let's just see if there's any place where it sticks. Maybe the motor is the cause. Well, it's not the motor, so it might be the cam mechanism. Where is that one? There should be another motor that lifts and lowers the cam, and it may be belt driven. It may be that was slipping. No, that appears to be gear driven. This is the motor that loads and unloads the mechanism. This is the real motor, and there's no belts. We'll take apart the mechanism and just take a look at it, because there may be a switch that activates when the head is fully extended, and it may not have been signaling the microcontroller, or it could be these switches up top here as well. But it definitely was not, the tape was not moving before I took it apart, and then the tape started to move, which is interesting. These mechanical problems generally don't fix themselves. I was expecting it to be a bad belt or even maybe a bad motor, but the motor has lots of torque, doesn't seem to have any flat spots. Normally if you slow the motor down or hold it and let it rotate, just turn it slowly, if you have a dead spot, you'll find that dead spot. There'll be a point as the motor is rotating that there is no torque, and that doesn't appear to be the case. This thing here appears to have full torque. So let's we'll pop the mechanism out of this thing and take a look at the mechanical operation of it and see if there's any obvious mechanical reasons why it wasn't working. Now I think this deck, if I just take out the screws, I should be able to lift the deck out without the I don't think the front cover has to come off this one. I think this whole deck will lift out and leave this behind. Those screws weren't very tight. Okay, lift the mechanism out. That way we can examine the mechanism, clean it up, and see if there was maybe something that was sticking. I'm thinking maybe the mechanism was sticking and it wasn't able to raise the head up all the way. But see, another problem with these decks is that they use these detector switches on the top here. And what the detector switches are for is to detect, first of all, what type of tape you've got. One switch on each side will detect whether the record lockout is set or not. The next switch over will detect whether it's a chrome tape, and then one of the switches in the middle here will detect whether it's a metal tape and if there's a tape installed at all. But if one of these switches goes bad, it typically will not go into play or fast forward or rewind or anything. It will just sit there because it'll think there's no tape in it. See, the belt on here is fine. There's no issues with the belt, but what there is on this is there's a mode switch. Just like in a VCR, there's a mode switch right down there. And that mode switch, what that does is, as the mechanism is operating, it signals the microcontroller as to whether the head is down or whether the head is up or whether it's in pause. And it may have been stopping the motor prematurely before it was fully engaged and the pinch rollers were engaged. That's kind of what I think may be the problem on this. But of course, to get at that, I got to take the motor out and take out the belt. It's going to come off when I do that, so we'll just remove these screws here. remove this, the belt should go, one more screw. The belt will come off, of course, but that's easy enough to put back on. I think I got them all. Catch over here. Catch over here. And this lifts off. And out of the way. Okay, so we'll just move that out of the way. Lift the belt out of the way here. If I take the two flywheels out, there's one flywheel there, and the other flywheel is over here. And this is the mode switch that I'm after, right down there. We'll remove a couple more screws. I think I probably have to take this board out too to get at it. Oh, ugly. Yes, I probably do, but I may be able to get into the switch and clean it without taking it too far apart, because I can get some cleaner into this switch if I just remove or loosen these screws. See, this little switch is keyed. So if I unsolder the pins here, I should be able to remove the switch without actually having to take this board apart anymore. So let me just heat up the iron. We'll take out these connections here. I want to take the switch out and clean it, because that's the most likely problem with this unit. The way that it behaved, where I heard the motor run like it was loading up the heads, or loading up the, or I should say, raising the tape head, but it did not go into play. It just sat there like it was being put into pause. And that's a good indicator that the mode switch here probably is what's causing the problem on this unit. Just like VCRs, right? These electronic controlled decks. Plastic in this thing. I gotta be careful that I don't melt these plastic bearings. A lot of plastic in this junk, very cheap machine, JVC. But hey, we have to keep the petroleum industry going, right? With all that plastic. Okay, now I should be able to pop the switch out and just lift it out of here. Don't worry, there's a little pin that's keyed, so it'll only go in one way. Okay, now I can open the switch. Oh yeah, it's pretty black, the contacts. Let's get some deoxit in there and clean it. I think it's probably the exact same mode switch that was in VCRs. Sure looks like the same type of mode switch. So I'll add a couple more drops, just as a lubricant and to keep the contacts clean. And we'll also clean, of course, the switch here, the contacts on the rotary portion of the switch. Give that a wipe down, maybe increase the tension a little bit, and we'll put the switch back together and rotate it several times to polish up the contacts. And now we'll put the switch back in place. I just have to make sure that I get it to the right orientation so that it lines up with the little hole in the gear itself. And there's some pins I have to line up here, as there's a, turn that a bit so that pin lines up. There's a post in here that I've got to get this right over here in the corner that I have to line up. It's easier said than done, as they say. Okay, I think I'm not quite lined up yet. I actually have to turn the switch ever so slightly. I'm not quite in the right orientation. It's dropping down onto the cam gear, but it's not in the right position for lining up this pin and this pin. There's two pins in the back that I have to line up and drop it over a couple. Well, these holes have to line up with two pins in the back here. And once I get them lined up, and then it should just drop into place so I can snap the board back in. Here's one. And there's the other. Okay, now we're in place. And now if I snap the board back down, the contacts pop through the board in the right place. I know I talked about the Patreon release of this, but actually the patrons have already seen this because this video I released to them prior. I released the raw footage prior to doing the shortened version for the public. So the Patreon's users have already seen this video. It fell off. Damn. The trick is to get the belt on here and keep tension on it until you get the motor in place. I thought I had it, but I guess there was a bit of a loop in it, and it jumped. It jumped off jumped off this middle pulley here. Jumped off that one. So I got tension on it, and I get the motor in place. There, I think I got it. There we go. Motor's in place. Put the screws in to hold the rest of the sub chassis together. Okay, time to reinstall the unit. The belt around the take-up spool. This is what's used to operate the tape counter. So put the belt around there, and we'll just hold it out of the way here so that it stays on the pulley as I put the mechanism back into the chassis. Yeah, I guess I should put the little board on top here. Plug that in first. Okay, so let's get the deck back together. We'll put the belt on the take-up spool. That's for the capstan, or for the counter. Now we can take the deck and drop the deck back into place. Make sure that I've got my head wires and stuff accessible. And without missing a beat, I'll put the pulley on, or the belt on the pulley for the tape counter so I don't lose it. And we'll just attach a couple screws just to hold the mechanism in place. There we go. Now the mechanism won't move. I can put the rest of the screws in. This wonderful plastic mechanism. I gotta plug the head back in. Ribbon cable just plugs into this connector here. And the main power connector for the deck. Now, with any luck, if I apply power to this thing, it should work. work in that direction. Let's try reverse. I don't think there's anything recorded on the reverse side. Interesting. It didn't appear like it went into reverse, did it? It is going backwards. It's just nothing recorded on the tape. We'll clean the head on this unit and the rest of the transport. Not the easiest machine to get in to clean, but it is pretty gungy. So we'll just turn the tape over and play the reverse side of it here. And go to reverse. There it is, playing in the reverse direction. We'll just get the speed calibration tape out and we'll check the speed on the unit. It's adjusted. I believe the adjustment's right there on the top here. We'll check the speed on this unit and then we'll do a test recording and then we'll close this one up. Okay, here's our speed. We're at 437. .440. Close enough for this piece of crap. That's close enough. So I got a little MP3 player connected here, and for my Patreon viewers, because I'm going to cut this part out, when is royalty-free music not royalty-free music? Well, the bullshit that happens lately with YouTube is that not all royalty-free music is created equal. See, I'm swearing on this one because it's the Patreon release, but I'm going to cut it here so I can tell everybody the bullshit that happens with YouTube. But before I do that, the royalty-free music is not created equal. And now my Music Bakery stuff has been okay, but Triple Scoop music is another one. Now we'll go to the public part. Okay, so when is royalty-free music not royalty-free? Well, when it comes from companies like Triple Scoop Music. I've got some tracks from Triple Scoop Music that came as part of Corel Video Studio. I think it was Studio 18 or something. Anyway, it says you are licensed to use this royalty-free content in your videos, and you may post them to social media sites such as YouTube and Facebook and stuff. But there's a disclaimer. You see, if you monetize your video, then it's considered commercial. And the license that comes with Triple Scoop Music only covers non-commercial use. So you can use the videos in your slideshow that you're showing at your, at your wedding or whatever, or at a funeral or any place else, or you can put it in a slideshow or video of your kids running around and put it up on social media sites, no problem. But as soon as your YouTube site is considered commercial, as mine is because it's monetized, well, then they step in and say, you're using this for commercial use and we're going to make a claim on it and we're going to take the money. So, if you are using royalty-free music, check your license. If it came with an editing program and it says this is royalty-free music and you can post it on social media and everything, yes, you can. But there's a fine line there that if they think that your video is commercial, they will step in and say, hey, if you want to use this royalty-free music in your commercial video, you have to buy it from us and you have to pay us a fee of typically $49 to $100 for the track, which is exactly what Music Bakery charges. Most of the tracks that I've got, I paid around $50 for. When we bought the library from Music Bakery back in the 90s, it was my production company that bought it. I forget exactly how much it was, but it was around $2,000, I think, is what we paid, the company paid. And we got a library of, I think there's like, I don't know, maybe 10 CDs. I have to go look, 10 or 12 CDs. Anyway, there was a bunch of CDs that we got. And that's the licensed music that I normally have used. And it's been pretty good, except for the BS third-party claims from fraudulent users. And they all get reversed as soon as I appeal it. Anyway, that's my rant on that. Let's set this thing up. I'll put this on Dolby B. We'll zero the counter out. I'm going to put this thing into record, pause, and we'll do a recording. So we set the levels up here. Find a track to play. Oh, that one's a good one. That one never have an issue with that. Never have an issue with that one either. Or that one. I can use any of these. That was kind of lame. I'm looking for a good one. That was a good one, but that one's had BS claims on it before, so. Alright, that one sounds good. We'll see what else is here. I got lots to choose from on this little player. I'm going to go through and take my SD card out, and I'm going to remove all my triple scoop music that's on here, because I have that collection on here as well. Maybe replace it with stuff from the YouTube music library, because it's a bummer, you know, when I've got something that I'm using as a test, and like that one, that will get a claim. I get to know which tracks will pull claims and where I have to dispute them. Okay, I got one I can cue up here. We'll release the pause and start it playing. Good enough. Rewind it back. We'll take a listen to how this sounds. Okay, here's a new recording starting here. sounds like it's working okay. Direction. Probably no Dolby on that one on the other record on the other side. Okay, I'm going to say this unit is fixed. I'm going to send this one on its way. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and we'll catch you in the next one real soon. Bye for now.